Okay. Let me just move this. Just realized how it is.
That's okay. Yeah. So I think it's gonna let people know once we go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome on YouTube and welcome on TikTok. Okay, we already have some people in here, which is great. This is our first live. We're the Bikini Report. So we are going to be doing a little bit of a recap on the news this week. Hello, guys. What we've found so far, etc., etc. But yeah, so my name is Louise Bordeaux, and then I have co-hosting. What here? I'm gonna. It's a little hard. Oh, sorry. Oh man. Should I put this farther back? Do you think?
Here, I
Okay.
gotcha. Co-hosting by Alana Blaire. Hi.
Hi.
We're doing our first live, so we are trying to set up our frame because we usually do widescreens in here.
Yeah. So
and no, we're not.
this is kind of like our confessional room, but today it's our live room. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming in. And be sure to hit like and everything in order to help promote the channel. We really appreciate it.
Okay, today.
All right, so I guess I'll start. My name is Louise Bordeaux.
Hey, I'm Alana Blaire.
And we're coming to you live from the Bikini Report. We're really, really thankful for all the support that we've gotten so far on our news stories, and I can't believe it's only been a week and things have been super, super cool. And
Okay, we'll be quieter.
sorry, we have to be a little bit quieter because there's other fun going. We're really thankful that things have really exploded, and we're gonna just go over the top stories for this week. I think we're gonna start with our most viral video topic, and that is that ABC has suspended Whoopi Goldberg from The View.
Yeah, so we just reported on this story yesterday, so it's very breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people had a lot to say about the topic.
I know, a lot. We can even pull up some comments as we talk about it, but yeah, we had a lot of people really passionate about this subject. So I'm gonna quote Whoopi Goldberg here. The thing that got her suspended was she said that the Holocaust, quote, was not about race, and to that, that is completely outrageous, totally disgusting, and it's very harmful to the Jewish community as a whole. So lots of people had lots of things to say. Do you want to pull up some of the comments?
For sure.
Yeah.
I can't believe that, she felt like it was okay to say that. I mean, in my opinion, if you're not part of a group, you cannot, you shouldn't speak on a group.
On the behalf of someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we are. So we have a lot of comments.
Yeah, I think like 1,000 or something.
A lot of people said that although she was wrong, they are against cancel culture, which I can kind of see that. Like, I think we can call people out on being wrong and like educate them and help them learn their lesson without fully canceling them, because
that's true.
That does kind of cancel what could be considered
that's
canceling
true.
free speech.
And like Whoopi Goldberg, for the most part, has a good reputation. She's been in movies. She's been on the View for many years, and on one side, we can see that like perhaps this was just a whoopsie, and on the other hand, is it severe enough? Should she have known better, as she's a public figure who talks on behalf of a lot of marginalized groups? So that's like one of the things that I wonder. Lots of people said that 2-week suspension was not enough for a mistake like this. How do you feel, Alana, about that?
Well, I mean, they're comparing it to punishments that other people received, which I can't really speak on because I don't know what those other people did. But 2 weeks is pretty short.
2 weeks
it's
is
not a
pretty
big
short.
punishment. It's kind of like you could go on vacation for those 2 weeks. So, I mean, if they do feel like it's a very serious offense, they should probably do a longer punishment.
Yeah,
It's not really like a very harsh punishment.
And from
It's a
what
light
I
punishment.
from what I understand, it seems like the leave is paid as well. So
Okay.
it is really like a vacation. That's just what I've
I've heard people say that and don't know for sure if that's true. But if that is true, then it's really not a punishment.
No, it's really not a punishment. It's more of like a vacation. I've kind of gone back and forth about whether Whoopi should be fired. However, I've heard that she's considering quitting over this entire not drama, but scandal.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's so much bad publicity, maybe punishment enough too.
Yeah.
Like if she's thinking of quitting.
Yeah, but she might be saying that to kind of just, I don't know, offset. Like, I don't know, maybe she's like, I feel so bad, I'm gonna quit. And it might be like a publicity thing, but
That's true. It's
Yeah.
really hard to know these days when people do something negative or act like something is negative. Is it for attention or do you really feel that way? Do you really feel remorseful or are you just like, this is the right thing to do? It's hard to tell.
it's hard to know if when lots and lots of money and publicity is involved, it's hard to know like whether people are being honest or if they are just doing it to gain back their audience and such. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know.
Yeah, I always say if you're not a part of a group, don't speak on behalf of the group because you just don't have that right to do that.
Yeah, and there are Holocaust survivors who are still alive, and like they're extremely offended by this. So
Yeah.
they're not. She's not even like offending a group that's like passed on. She's offending a group that is currently being affected by this. So yeah, I think that I want to see if anyone else has anything to say. Mike said, "Yeah, well said, Alana."
Thank
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think she should be fired. A lot of people think the punishment was too light. Some people, yeah.
I also saw a comment that was like the other people just remained silent. I think that like that's true. Like the people did, but however I did see some of the girls saying like no, like it is about race, And I think when you're on air, it can be a bit awkward to totally like flip shit at someone. So I don't think that the whole show should be canceled. I think it's a weird show in general. I don't know about you, but
I really don't watch it. So I
don't watch it.
I don't watch it. So I can't really speak on that, but I know they're giving their views, right?
Yeah, exactly. Punishment is unacceptable considering it's Black History Month. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I think we can all agree that 2 weeks is too short.
Somebody said The View is a bunch of has-been old drama queens starving for some attention. They love to talk and gossip about people. That sums it up a little bit for me as a person that hasn't watched it. A lot of people like watching people gossip and talk about stuff, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful what you say. You can't just.
And they're all about cancel culture over there. So
they like to cancel people.
They like to cancel people. So I'm still kind of conflicted in my views about it, but
I think there's I mean, obviously some people deserve to be canceled, but how do you decide who? And if you cancel too many people, it's just like it's like we're going crazy. We're canceling everybody.
We're canceling everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with cancel culture. So another one of our bikini reports that has got a lot of action is this one. So this one is about the Japanese technology giants.
I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about things like Microsoft purchasing
Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, that's a big one. I don't seriously like that. I think that it could ruin culture. like already existing culture. But I'm glad that Activision unionized. I always think that small companies that are bought by big companies should unionize. So I'm glad they took those steps forward. However, it seems like they made, like, the gaming industry has made an even bigger move, and Sony has purchased Bungie, which is the developer of Destiny and Halo.
Okay. I know, I've heard of Halo. Louise is our resident
gamer,
nerd.
yes.
Gamer nerd. So she keeps me up to date on games.
Yes, I keep her up to date. Yep. So yeah, like, I'm always worried about big companies buying smaller companies, but they quote that they're doing it in the best interest of the smaller company to let, like, billions of players play their game, I think is what they said.
Okay.
So yeah, like, they're gonna have certain games that were just exclusive on Xbox, onto PS5, different consoles and stuff like that.
Interesting. Somebody said that they think this is less to do with games and more to do with Bungie have recently opening a film studio.
That is true.
And Sony does do films. So
yeah, no, I actually really like, I think their name is Sluggy
Slugster. I like
yeah,
name.
they have really insightful comments on our TikTok, so we really appreciate that view. And yeah, there's like a Halo movie or TV show coming out. So that might have to do with a lot of it. Maybe they want to sell Halo TVs, so maybe they want to do something. Maybe they have plans that they haven't shared with us yet.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. All right. Well, let's see here. What other ones? You reported on a story here.
The trucker convoy.
This is close to home for us in Ottawa, which is like 5 hours away.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of people participating in the protest here, but luckily it was on a much more peaceful level. They were basically standing with signs. People were honking. It was a lot more peaceful.
It still made me late for work, but it was not like as like destructive as what I saw
in Ottawa
from the media. Both Alana and I are of the opinion that we don't really support this movement, but
for me, I just feel like the way that the protest is going is really not appropriate. Like, in Ottawa, I see people lighting off fireworks in the street, vandalizing cars, vandalizing, things at the Parliament building. Like, it's crazy. I don't think vandalism, violence, and destruction is a good way to get your point across, whatever your point is. And that, that's not going to make changes.
And what we're seeing here is, like, what are these truckers fighting for? Are they fighting because they don't want to quarantine for 14 days? Is it because they want to sit in a restaurant? Yeah. I just don't really understand.
I mean, maybe I'm assuming it's because when you cross the border, if you have to quarantine, you're taken out of 2 weeks of work.
Yeah, so the thing that we think we can find common ground with the truckers and those who support the movement is that we think the anger is kind of being redirected at we're not angry at the right people. I think that if truckers don't want to get the vaccine, then maybe they should get a 2-week paid quarantine break. And I think that would support things. We need to put money into our hospitals because we are in an endemic now. And we have to support our hospitals so that they can handle these sort of things. If people are not going to get vaccinated, no one's being forced to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
No one's being forced. I
think we have to, at this point, learn to live with it. But I also think when it comes to crossing borders and going into the other countries, that's always a situation where you have to comply with that country's rules. And that's always been a situation where some countries you need a vaccine for, and I feel like that's completely normal. So, I mean, I don't know how much you can really say, like, oh, I should be allowed into a country without the vaccine that's mandatory in that country.
Exactly. So, I 100%, you kind of are being forced. Yeah.
Coerced, maybe? Like, persuaded?
Yeah, they're making things difficult for you.
Yeah.
However, the government should give you a 2-week in my opinion, should give you a 2-week paid leave, like if that's your medical decision. But the government isn't putting money into social programs like that, so that's just simply not possible. And in Canada, at least, we don't have the hospital capacity to support all of these COVID cases. It's just not possible. So
yeah, and the thing that you don't want is, like, you don't want to get another severe injury, non-COVID related, and go to the hospital and find that you can't get treated because it's already full. Like, that would be horrible. That would be like a nightmare. And
exactly. Like, imagine if you get hit by a car and all the hospital beds are full because, you know, people lighten up on these restrictions.
That is happening in a lot of places. I don't think it's happening here just yet, but we have had a lot of lockdowns and a lot of prevention trying not to fill up our hospital. And as annoying as it has been, it's been sort of helpful. I don't know if it's really been done early enough to...
Yeah, no, and by all means, like, I dislike Justin Trudeau, I dislike Doug Ford, I dislike everyone involved. I think that they should have just done an initial 2-month lockdown right at the beginning because we're all going crazy here. I understand most of us are going fucking nuts because of this lockdown, but
this person says, I'm vaccinated, but I believe it should be 100% an individual choice. I completely agree, although I do understand if a business wants to restrict you because, like, I always think of it like restaurants. If they let themselves be at risk of staff in the restaurant getting COVID, customers getting COVID, they're gonna have to shut down again. They've already been shut down. They're already losing money. So
I would like to say a thought that I was thinking about last night. So, you know how just as a society, in Canada at least, we have fully accepted the fact that we are not allowed to smoke indoors. Because smoking inside is like you are exposing someone to secondhand smoke, and that could lead to them getting cancer in the future.
Oh man, when I was a kid, you were still allowed to smoke inside, and they had these smoking chambers.
Oh god.
It was so gross.
So yeah, like, that is just something that people have conformed to. It's not like if you are a smoker, you have to go outside. If you're not vaccinated, you have to eat outside because you could be exposing someone to the virus. That is dangerous. So I was thinking about a lot of that last night. But yeah, I think that, you know, as a society, we've conformed to many other things, and why is this one such a big deal? I think the anger is completely displaced. Just reading the comments.
Yeah, it is tricky with some of the things that governments are doing. I understand the controversy for sure. I'm like pro like safety first, but I understand. I try to look at everyone's opinions and understand.
Yeah, I understand where
I just think violence is not the answer, and destruction is not the answer.
Yeah.
So that's what my issue with the trucker convoy is.
Okay, I think our last topic of the day is one that got a lot of feedback as well. The Joe Rogan.
Oh yes.
The Joe Rogan, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young situation. So a lot of people did not like our coverage of that story, and we get it. We have a bias in that situation, and we will completely admit that point. Us too. But
my feeling was that it's totally cool and it's totally interesting to interview people with different views, but some of the bold statements that he made, I don't think it's appropriate. Like, when you're a very influential person and you tell somebody, do this, don't do this, you should do this, you don't do this, when you're very influential like that, people will listen to you.
Exactly. So as a public figure, you have a responsibility to keep the public interest safe. Yeah. And that's where Joe Rogan, I think, did not do a good job. He said, young, healthy people should not get the vaccine. That's his quote. And to that I say, there are many people who think they're young, healthy. However, they have an underlying condition and they might end up with COVID and end up dead because they took the advice of Joe Rogan, who's not a doctor.
I wouldn't want all that weight on my shoulders. Like,
No.
I don't know how he thinks it's okay to say something like that. My thing too is like, sure, if you're young and healthy, probably you'll be just fine if you get COVID. But what about the older people in your life that you're more likely to spread it to if you're experiencing heavy symptoms, which you experience if you're not vaccinated? And like, that's what I personally am worried about. And I don't even have a lot of older people in my life, to be honest, but it's just like the fact that I don't want to kill somebody. I don't agree with that statement that he made. I feel like he should interview all different people. Like, that is totally cool. I'm always interested in hearing both sides of the story, but just don't make bold statements like that. That's exactly. Not cool. And it makes Spotify kind of seem like they condone that, which who knows if they do or they don't, because I think they were going for where the money is in their
Exactly. They're a $1 billion company, so of course they're going to go for the money. Someone said that they think that Neil Young is just doing it for attention. I think that Neil Young, he's made his money. He's rich, he's successful, and I think that he is just doing that to have some influence on people, and I don't think he's really doing it to stay relevant or anything like that. He's taking his music off the platform to do a stand against what he thinks is right.
I think you're right. It is hard to know people's reasoning these days behind doing what they do, because anything you do, like, it makes you blow up. Like, I didn't even know who he was, and now I do.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
No,
Someone said if anyone took advice from Joe Rogan, that is on them.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you call Joe Rogan when you're sick, when you have an ear infection? No, probably not. I'm sure he wouldn't pick up either.
That's true. I think just we know that some people are going to take advice from people that they just straight up shouldn't be taking advice from, and that is their fault. But I think as a world as a whole, we're trying to head towards getting out of the pandemic and just creating all these crazy ideas. Like, it's not helping.
No.
You know? It's not helping.
As a response to all the controversy, Spotify has decided to put a disclaimer before any podcast that talks about controversial topics, including COVID. So to that, it seems like Joe Rogan is 100% on board with this. And, he ended up apologizing, but what I didn't like is that he didn't apologize to the public that he could have potentially harmed. He apologized to Spotify because he has a $100 million deal with them, and it was very business transactional. I didn't think it was sincere whatsoever. Yeah, but he seemed to
They're both going where the money is, and we may not know their true feelings or opinions, but a lot of times that's what big businesses do, go for the money.
Profit over people.
Yeah.
No, but, I think that, do I think that taking Joe Rogan off Spotify will do anything? No, he could probably make his own platform.
I think that the disclaimer is really all that's needed, because there's a ton of information out there. You're free to look at whatever you want, listen to whatever you want, but like having a disclaimer just to kind of let you know, like, hey, this isn't proven, like this is just like theory, like make sure you realize that is important, right?
Exactly. So
I've seen some crazy stuff on the internet where I'm like, what the? And like, for sometimes in my head, I'm thinking like, is this real? And then I realize later,
no,
it's completely fake. And I'm just like, sometimes it's helpful to have the little reminder, like, just remember not everything that you see is completely true or proven or anything.
I think that there are a lot of vulnerable people here during the pandemic, especially since we don't have a lot of contact with the outside world. So they might look to Joe Rogan as like a type of hero, something like that, and they might really be invested and be listening to what he has to say, and I think that he bears a lot of responsibility. So I do think that he has been not irresponsible with his position of power, and even cashing in on that. On that.
Being extremely popular is a power position, and I feel like you can't take that lightly. Like, you need to be careful of what you say. It's like,
Exactly.
I don't know. Someone said, oh, If Joe really thought ivermectin was so good, why did he take 14 other treatments? I did not know that.
Yeah, no, and like there are episodes, like I was watching his previous episodes, and he's saying that vaccines are good, they eradicated smallpox, they work, and then he seemed to take this turn. And it's hard to know if he actually believes this or if he's just in this for the money. If he's just in this for the money, I think he's completely evil.
I think controversy really gives people a lot of publicity, which leads to a lot of money. So I can see that.
Yeah, exactly.
He should be able to say whatever he wants. Yeah. like I said, for me, I think the disclaimer is the answer because he can say whatever he wants, and people listening can also just have that reminder that, you know, this isn't proven.
However, like, I sometimes worry, like, is it enough to protect people who are extremely vulnerable during this time?
But people do have to make their own choices and think for themselves, you know? And what you listen to does make a big difference on what you feel like is true and what you decide for yourself, but that's still a choice that you make what to listen to.
I think no matter who you listen to and who you think is against you and all that stuff, I think that everyone wants this pandemic to end. And I think, you know, we're all being turned on each other, and, you know, we have to look to our government ultimately because I think that's the most important thing here. And, you know, the government is using us, pitting each other against each other as like a scapegoat, in my opinion, so that we don't get mad at them for not supporting us through this time. So, you know, I think that no matter where you stand, we can all agree that we want this to be over. Unfortunately, viruses have no agenda. They don't care if you're left wing, right wing, what you believe in, who you are. They're just trying to survive. Yeah. So that's the unfortunate thing. There's no agenda, and
experts are saying it's time to just start living with it and just accepting it. I think it'll become kind of like the flu, how you may or may not get your flu shot. You might die from it, but you might not. There's not like a whole ton of people dying. Eventually it'll just kind of, you know,
we'll have to
see phase out. Hopefully phase out.
We'll have to see how things go. We're only 2 years. It's been 2 years, but we've only been in this pandemic for 2 years at the same time. So it's hard to know like what's going on. We never saw this Omicron variant coming necessarily. So I think
the fact that it's so much more contagious makes me feel like it will be over a lot faster because everyone's getting it, and then everyone will have gotten it, and then that's done.
Exactly.
Just don't make it. I think the helpful thing is if more countries get like a higher vaccination rate, less strains will be able to develop.
Yes,
which
exactly.
will help us get out of
Again, it goes back to the government and like capitalism, because people have capital, like they're not selling the Pfizer vaccine formula, so other countries
like share with everybody.
It's a global crisis, not like national. So there's just a lot of stuff we could get into, but I think that will do for today.
We just posted our latest story, so make sure you check that out. It's about the U.S. Which is this one about the U.S.
The debt,
the U.S. national debt, which is pretty high.
It's pretty high. So be sure you comment on our videos, share them, so that we could potentially talk about your comment, and so that we can talk about the stories that you want to hear.
For sure. We'll be back next week at the same time to talk about all the stories that are going to come out next week.
It's so fun because you never know what's going to come up in the news.
Thanks for following us, guys.
Thanks for following us. Bye.